The Rebels are just hours away from their SEC opener with the Kentucky Wildcats, and Delano Townsend got a clean bill of health. Well, at least according to the injury report, he did. That and Mike Huesmann is about to join the show. This is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast and this pregame live stream going on before Ole Miss takes on the Kentucky Wildcats. I'm your host, Stephen Willis, a 10-year veteran member of the national media and a former Ole Miss staff member as well. We bring in Mike Huesmann in just a second as we're going to discuss some good news on the injury front for Ole Miss, around college football, all of that stuff. Should be pretty interesting. Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen. Please give us a like, subscribe, and comment on your way out. And check out a second listen on the network. Nearly every team, college and pro, they're available for you. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is right around the corner. Well, it's actually here. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. So, one thing is pretty interesting about what is going on and all of the injury front news and all of that. Ole Miss has Delano Townsend. He was out against Georgia State in the first game, and they were trying to get him back as quickly as possible. This is the player that after the first scrimmage or the second scrimmage, they said that Delano Townsend had a really bad injury and he was going to be out until the end of the season. And then Monday after that, Lane Kiffin said nobody is long-term out. That's this Delano Townsend. And this year on the injury report, Delano Townsend is given a clean bill of health for Ole Miss. He was the guy in the beginning of camp that was kind of the starting left guard. P.J. Wilkins was kind of the Swiss Army knife, sixth offensive lineman, played a little tackle, played a little guard. But the true left guard was Delano Townsend. They really like this player. So coming back for Kentucky, as physical as they are on the front, and they are going to play physical. You can remember in the game in 2024, Kentucky completely out-physicaled Ole Miss at the line of scrimmage, shut down the run. Other than Trey Harris, Ole Miss could do nothing on offense. This is going to help Ole Miss out with that. Now, let's bring in Mike Huesmann and talk a little bit about this game and around college football. If you have a comment, by the way, please put in the comments where you're commenting from. Do want to shout that out, and we'll try to answer some questions in the third segment in about 15 minutes from now. Mike, this is an interesting game for Ole Miss going up against Kentucky because of what happened in 2024. We all know that. But if you look at what happened in 2024, it was a situation where everything that could possibly go right for Kentucky absolutely did. And it still took a fumble into the end zone that they recovered for the go-ahead touchdown.
It was kind of a situation we've seen as a staple of the Mark Stoops years, the good ones, where they didn't make mistakes and they were opportunistic when the other team did. That's what happened in the end of that game.
Yeah, and it's not that they're bad. They want a rock fight. All of the Mark Stoops game, every game that he coaches with Kentucky is a video resume game to be the head coach of the Iowa Hawkeyes. That's what it looks like. It's like, hey, we have a good punter. We play very skimpy offense, and we're good on defense. Hire me, Iowa. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, I think that's, obviously he's an alumni there. He is a trendy pick that some people think could be the next guy up there. And it makes a lot of sense. We've talked a lot on the group show that the respect he should be given by the UK fans is less than he's getting for being their best coach ever. I think they're just sick of being the bridesmaid and never a conference competitor, and they might not respect the level he's raised them to because they've been at that level for so long now.
Yeah, and it's gotten to the point in this NIL era, I think that Kentucky football is actually going to play a victim in this era because of the amount of money that they want to allocate to basketball.
Yeah. And if you look at it, they, like most teams, could be competitive in the football NIL. Like, that's a pretty, if you were looking at a slate of many open coaching jobs, that would be a pretty good one that's competitive with a lot of teams. And especially in an era where the SEC and Big Ten have elevated themselves from everywhere else, there aren't a ton of jobs outside of those two conferences that would be more desirable right now.
Not to change the subject, but I am real quick. Nick Saban yesterday said that the Big Ten now has the advantage on the SEC because of NIL. And listen,
maybe
that's not true. The SEC to him is Alabama. The SEC to him is Georgia. The SEC to him is LSU. Ole Miss is on a generational run that they have not done in 60 or 70 years, and they're doing it smack dab in this era. It's not the Big Ten has the advantage. It's just that Alabama and Georgia lost the advantage. I think that's what he was trying to say, is that there's no such thing as super teams anymore, and teams that make their living on
that's fair.
Talent, that's not going to happen anymore.
I think you're dead right about the super teams there. Top to bottom, though, now this would be separate from the booster stuff, but being plugged into academia, the higher ed world, the Big Ten schools have more money on the whole. That would be a fact there. But how
they're
much
not going to be spending it on football. Yeah,
exactly. The amount that's allocated, Purdue, Rutgers, Maryland, they have a lot of money. They're not putting as much money into football as Arkansas does. That's just one example.
Yeah. Well, getting back on the football game, what's Kentucky's path to winning this football game?
What it was last year. Not making mistakes, not shooting yourself in the foot, and then kind of hoping a wonky wing and a prayer goes in your favor at the end, I think. If you look at the 24, so 22 plus kicker plus punter, 24 starters, how many of those Kentucky 24 would start for Ole Miss? Is that number even 5? Would be my question. I don't know. I don't know the Kentucky roster well enough. After I did see the Toledo game, I didn't examine the roster that deeply, though. But you had touched on it very well when I was in the green room. It's pulling Ole Miss out into the deep waters and getting into that rock fight with them. And you talked about Townsend. One of the more interesting matchups, positionally in this game is we got the 3 transfers, on the interior for Ole Miss. Townsend, Kutas, PJ Wilkins. How can those, whatever combos at guard, how do they hold up in the run game against Kentucky? Because if Kentucky wants to have any shot, they got to neutralize the run and make Ole Miss a one-trick pony. I don't think they can do it. That's probably what you have to do to win, though.
Yeah, they did that a year ago, because if you look at the box score from last year's game, Ole Miss could not run the ball. They, outside of Jackson Dart and a couple of scrambles, they had 50 yards or so rushing for the game. They threw the ball to Trey Harris for 174 yards on 11 catches. They had a 40-yard pass on 4th down at the very end of the game when they were in a desperation mode trying to kick a field goal to tie it up. Other than that, they had 15 yards passing. It was Trey Harris or nothing last year. I think Austin Simmons, if he just dinks and dunks a little bit, kind of gets the Kentucky defense to move forward and worrying about what's happening in front of them, that's going to open up the stuff down the field instead of just trying to force the downfield stuff.
And you brought that up on Thursday. That's a strength that he has where he will be better than Dart. Maybe he already is, but especially long-term, he'll take what the defense gives him in that 12 yards and less range and just move the chains. Whereas Dart was looking downfield more frequently, I feel like.
All right, when we come back, we will get into college football today as a whole. Arch Manning is struggling. Duke and Illinois is actually a pretty good game. Utah State's giving Texas A&M all they want in the second quarter, and Florida State is just beating the holy hell out of East Texas A&M. We will talk about the other games, a little bit more about the Ole Miss Kentucky game, so stick around for that. It's the weekend, and we're going to talk about DoorDash streaks, saving more every time you order. Those players delivered when it mattered most. So let's break it down. In the Georgia State game, Austin Simmons delivered in a big way. His quick decision-making led to a touchdown by Daquan Wright. When the pressure was on, he came through. No hesitation, no delay. And if you are a ball knower, you'll know that this performance wasn't a fluke. Austin Simmons is looking to start a streak. And just like Austin Simmons delivered for the Ole Miss Rebels, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash streaks, you save every Saturday you order, stack it up all season, and you can save around $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday and keep the streak alive. Fuel your gameplay only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period runs through 10/18. And Mazda crafts cars for those who choose to do more than simply move. They follow what moves them every time they drive, and that's what makes Mazda stand out. They go beyond safety, style, and performance to deliver a driving experience that feels alive in every single detail. As an athlete focuses on those details, Mazda does the same, from metallic accents to hand-stitched Napa leather. You can feel it the moment you get behind the wheel, the smooth handling, intuitive controls, and the standard all-wheel drive in every crossover SUV. Whether it's a quick drive to practice or a weekend road trip, Mazda makes every game day feel special. It's the small details that makes the big plays, and just like there's more to every player, there's more to every Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Hey, do us a favor and like and subscribe and comment on the video. Subscribe to the podcast on whatever audio podcatcher you're checking it, and give us a 5-star review. It costs absolutely nothing, helps all us out, and keeps all of this free. If you want more of the Insiders program, there's a link down in the description. You can check that out. No trolls, a 14-day free trial, and the easiest way to cancel. Give that a try. And don't forget to check out a second listen on the network. Nearly every team, college or pro, is ready for you. So, Mike, in this game that I noticed, first of all, whatever's happening in Tallahassee, whoever East Texas A&M is, I think you mentioned whenever we were talking off air that this team was in a conference with Delta State just a couple of years ago, and now they're either FCS or Division I. I'm not exactly 100% sure, but this is 49-0 at half, and it is an absolute bloodletting right now.
Yeah, they're Southland Conference now. So McNeese, Houston Christian, Nichols, Northwestern State, Southeastern Louisiana. But they were, up until a few years ago, they were D2. I might have been wrong about the conference. They might have been in the Lone Star, the Texas one. Either way, they were in one of the Southern D2 conferences up until the last 4 years.
Okay.
So
it's an absolute bloodletting. Now, Texas A&M, the real Texas A&M, they're in a little bit of a dogfight right now. Yep. They're in a tough game with Utah State. They're kicking off at the moment, so it looks like they just scored. I'm waiting on the SEC network to put the score up so I can see if it was a touchdown or a field goal. And it was a touchdown. They're up 17-6. Okay. I'm assuming that they busted a long run. Duke and Illinois is an actually absolutely good game, and Arch Manning is listen, his stats are going to be decent. He's struggling right now. I mean, you can see the way they're celebrating with him on the sideline when anything goes right. They know that they're dealing with somebody that has very fragile confidence.
Yeah. So A&M, they got a long play to get inside the 5. Then Marcel Reed ran in a 1-yard touchdown. Is what happened in that one.
Yeah, it's not the best day of games. I mean, whenever they were picking games, at 2:30 you have Missouri and Kansas. That's going to be fantastic. Just that coming by, and you have Ole Miss and Kentucky, and then tonight you have Michigan and Oklahoma.
And I'm looking forward to Mississippi State, Arizona State too. I think
it's going to be a fun game that we're doing our post-game show in the middle of, so you can tune in after the Ole Miss game, and then the Mississippi State game should be on about that time as well, at least the beginning, so you can tune in for that. But it should be a lot of fun with what's going on, even though it's not just a stacked day. Now, next week is fun. That's A&M at Notre Dame. those type of games. There's like 5 or 6 conference games. Next Saturday is going to be a lot of fun.
Next week.
Yeah, Ole Miss just has Kentucky, so it's a good week for Ole Miss, but for most people, it's these San Jose States and all of that stuff.
Yeah, no, you're right about it. Florida LSU is next week. That's another big one. There's several more, this week, just kind of a primer, it feels like. And in one aspect, it's nice now because it seems like at every time slot, you have 1 or 2 games you can focus on and just read the box scores for the other ones. But that doesn't always make it the most exciting day for watching either.
Yeah, I enjoy the multi-view on ESPN.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
It's fantastic. Now, the YouTube one kind of mixed up, so you'd have to you would watch a G5 game, an SEC game, and a Big Ten game. That's how they would set up the multi-view. On ESPN, you can have an all SEC setting. So games that you just really want to pay attention to. Really interesting.
Is Georgia, Tennessee also next week? I think it might be. Okay.
Yeah. Georgia, Tennessee's next week. Ole Miss and Arkansas is next week, which is the drunk uncle of the SEC, that game. You never can tell. I think I mentioned on one of the shows, you could have JFK Jr. and find out that he's alive and at the game. You're like, yeah, makes sense. It's Ole Miss and Arkansas, It's weird stuff happens in the game.
The wildest play I've ever seen in my life was in an Ole Miss Arkansas game, and you know the play I'm talking about.
Don't bring up 4th and 25. Don't bring up 4th and 25. Honestly, I like the hit. That was the 1990 Ole Miss Arkansas game to where Arkansas was trying to go in and score to win the game, and the running back got hit on the 1-yard line and tried to go backwards into the end zone and got popped in the back, and he fell perfect where he didn't even go out of bounds. So the clock kept going and ran out on the half-yard line. I mean, the hit was
I'll have to check out that one. I don't remember that one.
Yeah, that was a pretty fantastic one. All right. So when we come back, we will take some questions in the comments. Remember, if you comment, please put where you're commenting from. We will try to answer as many as possible before we get out here in the next 10 minutes or so. So please stick around for that. Hey, Locked On Ole Miss fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Wait, let me start this, bro. All right, let's bring that up. Hey, Locked On Ole Miss fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Download the Upside app on the App Store or the Google Play Store right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code. It's really creative. Football to get an extra 25 cents back per gallon when you have your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year from just buying the gas that you already needed. At first, I thought this was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out at any time to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card like Amazon or other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code FOOTBALL for a limited time 25 cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code FOOTBALL. Offers vary by users and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. And the NFL season is here, and it's really almost here for Sunday's games. And FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get your bet. If that bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits how I like to bet. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. All right, so we're going to bring in Mike Huesmann, and we're going to answer your questions in the chat. So thank you very much for doing that. So, Mike, let's bring in some questions on the chat, what they're talking about real quick.
Awesome.
Randy Wilbank says he's ready for a big Rebels win today. Hotty toddy from Walnut, Mississippi. Hotty toddy, Randy. Rebels, what is your profession? Who? I don't know what that's about. Ramus Lambert says, Hotty Toddy, he lives in the Arkansas territory, but he's from Clarksdale, near it mostly. Okay.
Oh, that's the Delta, right?
Yeah. If you live near Arkansas, it's probably in the Mississippi Delta. Dave Trader says, hello, everyone. Let's go Rebels. Hotty Toddy from Destin, Florida. Got a whole bunch of where people are commenting from. Rex from Oliver Springs, Tennessee, but from Drew, Mississippi. Rebels will win big. A certain
Archie's hometown
quarterback, some redheaded quarterback from there. Also, the name of my Labrador, by the way. So I do want to thank the Mannings for that. So Mark Wall says he's from St. Louis. Let's go Rebels. Need a big W. Luke Shaw says the Big Ten just less disadvantaged now. It's like I was talking with Mike earlier. It's not that the Big Ten is advantaged. It's just that the era of super teams are over. So there's not that gap there that was there. And proof of that is, oh my gosh, that was a horrible pass by Arch. Oh, he's lucky it didn't go back 100 yards too. That was an awful pass. It was one of the worst interceptions I've ever seen. But yeah, it's just less disadvantaged at the moment.
And to go along with his point, you had talked about with the Saban thing where Alabama, Georgia might not be the super teams. The top teams in the Big Ten are getting better at the Ohio States, Penn States are encroaching on that level. So that's probably why we're seeing the balance shift a little more.
Yeah. And it turns into a football game then to where anybody can beat anybody. Which is, if we're going to be real about it, and like I said, I don't do the banner waving SEC thing that other people do. I like the SEC because that's the conference that Ole Miss is in, and that's who I see most of the time because of that. But I don't do the flag waving thing. I think the hatred for the SEC is actually a hatred for Alabama and Georgia for the elite
I think
teams
that's
in
fair.
the conference.
I do think that's fair. Yeah.
And
especially me coming from Big Ten land in Minnesota, going to grad school at South Carolina, I feel like I have a good grasp of both worlds, but I'm not really a homer for either one. So
and you look at it, I don't have any ill will towards Minnesota or anything like that. I don't like Michigan because they have the smugness that comes with it. I don't like Penn State. I mean, before Ole Miss beat the heck out of Penn State in the Peach Bowl a couple of years ago, it's one of the most smug fan bases I've ever dealt with. I'm sure Ohio State would be exactly the same, but I'm not going to have a problem with Illinois or Indiana or, Iowa. I mean, it just doesn't exist. The elite teams carry the narrative for both conferences, love and hate, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
So we'll see how it goes. Hurston Williamson says, Hotty Toddy from Golden, Colorado, home of Coors Beer, if I'm not mistaken.
That might be Hammer's burner account, Golden, Colorado.
Yes, seriously. Let's see. Hurston Williams says Townsend is excited, but he did play at UAB. Not saying he's not legit, but he has to prove it. Could be a big piece and help us in the rotations. Listen, he played as a true freshman at UAB. And offensive line wise, you don't play on the offensive line as a true freshman unless you are really legit. Now, I think they're excited about what he could be. I think he won the job fair and square. They love his physicality. They absolutely love his physicality. But coming in against Kentucky, he's not going to get the Georgia State at the beginning. He's not going to get the warm-up game. He's going to jump directly into the deep end. So he might struggle a little bit. But this is the guy that they had earmarked to start from the very beginning before he got injured. That's the point about that.
And trench play usually carries over more so than skill position play. There's less of a risk in transferring up a level if you're in the trenches.
Daniel Cow said Arch has 4 TD passes already. What are you talking about? What's happening? There's accuracy problems. There's real accuracy problems happening. Granted,
he did throw an 83. Sorry to cut you off, Steve.
Yeah, an 83-yard pass on a wheel route. That was an excellent pass. It was. But that don't fill a stat sheet and see what's going on. He has not played well today. He's had accuracy problems.
And after that one, San Jose threw an interception the first play. Mm-hmm. Texas started on their 34. He then threw a 3-yard touchdown pass. Then San Jose fumbled on the second play. He threw a touchdown from 36 yards the first play. Then San Jose fumbled the next drive. Texas started on the 1-yard line, but that's going to look like a 16-yard touchdown pass because Texas got a personal foul, then they threw it in.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's pretty interesting. Like I said, it's San Jose State. He's going to be fine. He has not had a good day. It's not the day that they were hoping. I mean, his interception he threw was absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
All right.
San Jose is going to be a decent G5 team. Ken Newman-Alola was a good coach. They're not on the talent level at any position that Texas is.
No, not even a little bit. Rex Thompson says he would like to see Logan Diggs get more carries in the game. Yeah, I want to see Kewan Lacy open things up with that. I think Logan Diggs can play the role of Snoop Connor. You saw that a little bit against Georgia State. I think he gets the ball a little bit quicker. I like Damian Taylor. Granted, the numbers aren't there, but I like him as a running back. So I want to see Logan Diggs perform in this game as well.
I'll be honest, Steve. I usually pay better attention. Damian Taylor, the former Troy transfer, is that the one you're talking about?
That's exactly him.
Yeah,
he's a good little back. Ole Miss likes to use him on the Wildcat. Ole Miss likes to use him in short yardage from time to time. He runs very physical. So I think he complements the other two backs very well, in my opinion. Brandon Cole's heading all the way to the game today from Taylorsville, Mississippi, home of the Tartars. Be safe heading that direction. Luke Shaw, that's from the movie 300, where the Spartans slaughtered the Persians. Okay, so Battle of Thermopylae or whatever. Got that. Hurston Williamson says, what does Austin Simmons' stats look like at the end of the game? Also, what are you expecting the score to be at halftime? Curious on your thoughts. I think that Austin Simmons the baseline for Austin will be 330 and 3 interceptions. That will be his baseline moving forward and the way he likes to play.
3 interceptions, Steve?
No, 3 touchdowns.
That's it. You said 3 interceptions. That's
yeah. Three touchdowns. Yeah, I was thinking in my head, you have to control the interceptions. Yeah. That's going to determine whether it's a good game or a bad game. I think that at halftime, it's going to be something like 17-7.
That's fair.
And Kentucky trying to overcome a 10-point deficit is going to allow that to expand a little bit.
I would expect end game, completions to attempts to be something like 26-27 out of 35, something like that.
We have T. Young says, ugly, rainy day in Lexington right now. I think it's supposed to clear up. In the morning, it was supposed to be a little bit hazy, and it was supposed to kind of burn out as the afternoon got there as well. But it is interesting at least. We have Mark Covington from Pontotoc, Mississippi, an everydayer. Let's go, he says. HYDR. Thanks for getting my day going with Ole Miss information every day, and I hope everything is still going well from your surgery. Clean bill of health, everything is going absolutely fine. I'm really excited. As you can see, over the last couple of weeks, I've kind of added a couple of things that we're doing on this channel. We're trying to kind of get this thing into the next level, and we're trying to figure out exactly how to do that as well. Before we get out of here today, Brandon Cole says, I hope the rain doesn't affect the Rebels today. It's very nasty today in Lexington, but hotty toddy. Brandon, what you need to realize in that Georgia game that Austin Simmons gets all the credit for, it was drizzling the whole ball game. It was nasty weather in that day. And Mike Leach, God bless his soul, would tell you, rain doesn't affect football games. Wind does.
Yeah.
And it's not supposed to be very windy at all. So everybody take care.
I'm about 90 miles away from Lexington here in Huntington, and raining, drizzling, pretty calm though, not windy.
Okay. What do you got going on this weekend for All Season After Dark?
We are Garrett Armbrust is his name. He was on the third or fourth episode I had. He's actually a journalism student at the University of Tennessee, but he does all kinds of in-depth stuff for a lot of teams just on his own time. So we're going over, I'm calling it the G5 roundup. So we're going to go over the first 2 weeks of G5 ball, and we're recording tomorrow. It'll drop Tuesday morning.
All right. That should be absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much
he's a great guest. He's awesome. Yeah.
Mike, thank you very much for stopping by today, and enjoy the day of football, man.
You too. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves in offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we're the front door of Ole Miss. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and comment. It helps the show out. It is totally free. Your support means the world to us. And it's another big moment for Locked On. College football fans, Locked On and Fire TV are presenting College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, and former college star Jesse Holley, and, of course, Locked On's panel of experts. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season. It's only on Fire TV. Hotty toddy, everybody. Hope the game goes well. Hope it dries up a little bit, and we'll see you right after the game with the post-game show. We'll either be unbelievably elated or unbelievably deflated. So we'll see you then. So take care.